Hi, we're Ralph and Lonnie with the forecast for May, and you know the saying, better late than never.
Yes.
Ralph is on day 23 of still having a lingering cough from being sick. I was 10 days behind him, so I'm at day 13, and we're trying to be the troopers that we are
Yes.
and give you at least part of the forecast. Um, I hope you all managed to get through the beginning of the month
Yes.
on your own. We had a couple of serious black box and void of courses, but really, the theme of the whole month of May is void of course moons, and we're so glad we figured out how to highlight them on the calendar so you don't get tripped up by them because they sure are tripping this month.
Yeah. In fact, when you read your forecast, in the calendar, you saw that we talked about our invention of our little gray frame, our little gray box that goes around the number specifically to highlight these extra long void of courses. And it's interesting. In the next, we're actually working on the 2027 calendar now. In fact, we just sent the wall calendar files off to the printer.
And I'm going to tell you, it's really a testament to our dedication to you and the calendar that we got this thing pretty much on time to the printer because
Amazing.
we were sick the whole time
Well, not the whole. We actually start working on it
in January.
well, actually December. I start working on the typesetting, the design of the new calendar then. So you're talking 6 months of work here and there, multiple proofs and
It's that
lots of
finish
design.
up period
Yeah.
that is always so
Yeah.
stressful.
And
So
we're actually not finished. She's finished for the moment. I'm about to upload the day planners and the pockets, which actually has a new format. The day planner has a new format, and then I have to do the digital still.
so I have to do the postcards and the inserts and the all
Yes.
that management and
Yes, and then her
PR
then her
and
part starts
marketing,
again.
and
Yes,
so it's a never ending story, but we do it with love
yes,
through walking uphill both ways.
yes, exactly.
So
Yes,
anyway, we digress. We're gonna just do a quick. Hopefully, our throats and
yes,
we won't have too many cough breaks or something like that. But it's not like a coffee break. It'd be more fun to have a coffee break.
that's true. After this, we'll get to have
Okay.
coffee. This is an interesting month too because we have three lunations this month because we have another full moon on the 31st. What do they call this? The blue
The
moon.
blue moon.
Yeah, so this is May. So when you looked at the day planner, for instance, you saw that there were actually three lunations there in the new version of the day planner, which I'm really pleased with. We handled that a little different and make them a little easier to read. Now, what's happening this week, the week of the 10th, because that's when we're actually getting to this. On the week of the 10th, the only asterisk day is on the 16th, though there is a frame day on the 12th. So on the 12th, you do have, it's funny because there's all kinds of aspects that go on, but most of the aspects take place after, like late in the day to the moon, after the moon goes into Aries.
Right. So
Okay?
those lunar aspects are really going to be in effect also
Yeah.
on the 13th. So
Yeah. But there are solar aspects and planetary aspects on the 12th because you have a Mercury sextile Jupiter, which means really good communication on that day because it's the smallest planet and the biggest planet, but Mercury has huge amounts of leverage and Jupiter has huge amounts of power. So lots of communication between those
could
two.
also be distance travel
Yes, that's true.
because while Mercury is short distance travel and communication, Jupiter is a broader scale. So don't be surprised if you hear from those people that live on the other coast.
Right, and then you also have a sun sextile moon, so there's a really nice harmony going on between the sun and the moon. But it's interesting because that happens earlier in the day because remember now the sun is in Taurus, aka the cow, and the moon in the early part of the day is in Pisces, so that's happening relatively late in the sign, and it's all water signs. So you people out there with lots of water in your chart, you'll really feel this kind of nice flow that's going on.
And how about that asteroid on the 16th?
On the 16th is real notable because that's the new moon. It's the new moon at 25 degrees of the cow, Taurus. So it's actually landing exactly opposite my moon. So I should definitely take this one personally. So, but anyone else who has anything, ending at 25 degrees Taurus or Scorpio, aka the eagle,
or the other fixed signs, Leo
Aquarius
and Aquarius,
yes,
are gonna
they're gonna
feel
you're gonna
that
feel
square.
it.
So
Yeah, but you remember, new moons are all about starting that new cycle, and 25 degrees of Taurus is an interesting point because it's actually right at the star Algol, and it's a very misunderstood energy. And for years, it was seen as a very negative energy, but partially because it had a lot to do with feminine power, because it was the eye of the Medusa, and it was about a woman who had her own power and was persecuted for it. And it actually goes back to an early myth that comes out of, actually a true story that comes out of the founding of the early Catholic Church in Constantinople, how there was a brilliant theologian woman, a brilliant priestess, because at the time there were lots of priestesses, and how they specifically went after her as part of trying to take over the real estate, these prime real estate locations that, these priestesses had controlled for a very, very long period of time. But it has a lot to do with women being unfairly persecuted. So watch for that kind of stuff in the news.
yeah, we've been living that myth as women
Yes.
for a long time.
Yeah, since like 350 AD.
In the
enough.
following week, all the
Yes.
turbulence happens.
Yes.
We've got sign changes in the first 4 days of
Oh
the
my
week
gosh.
coming up, right back to back. So we've got Mercury entering Gemini on the 17th, and there's a long void, of course, then. Then on the 18th, we have Mars entering Taurus and Venus entering Cancer on the same day, a couple hours apart, with the remainder of that long void, of course, that started on the 17th. And then, of course, the Sun enters Gemini. Always fun,
Yes.
always interesting, always changeable. Don't be surprised if those new ideas that came out of the new moon start showing up in reality once the Sun enters Gemini and lets you manifest them.
This is a powerful time because Mercury's entering Gemini, which is the twins. It's the sign of a very powerful social sign. It's one of the signs in which it performs best in the social and career world. And it's moving relatively fast at this point. So anything to do with communication, writing, short distance travel, but especially anything to do with communication in our hyper communication world will tend to move really, really well for you. So it's a great time for those kinds of projects. On the next day, on that Monday, when that Mars enters Taurus, it's not considered a strong position, but that's a misinterpretation. Remember, Mars in Scorpio, aka the eagle, is a rulership position. It's a very social position. When it's in its opposite sign, it means it functions extremely well in the home. So this is a fantastic time to start any kind of project around your house. If you're going to spend money, for instance, for new furniture, great time to do it. If you're going to do painting in the house, if you're going to do things to beautify your home, if you're going to plant a garden, it's a fantastic time to do it because Mars in the sign of the cow is about fortifying your own wealth, your own sense of value and pleasure.
Well, and how about the synchronicity of that Mars with Venus then, who is in the sign of the home?
Right.
So,
crab. Yes.
Make sure that Mars coordinates with Venus for the decorating tips.
Exactly. So, and then a couple of days later, you have Mercury or the Sun entering Gemini. The original symbol for this was actually the baby goats, though in Persia they called it the peacocks. They were the peacocks, which it says a lot about Gemini. But the baby goats, if you've ever seen baby goats, they're incredibly cute.
Baby goats also say a lot about Gemini.
Yes. Playful.
They're so adorable.
They jump over stuff. They drive you a little crazy, but they're so cute.
We always say every family should have a Gemini for the entertainment factor.
How true, yes.
Yes.
I was lucky both my mother and my son were both Geminis. So now on the Sunday, the Monday, and the Wednesday, there's long void of courses. So if you're sensitive to those things, watch out for them.
We just reviewed them, and also on
Well, they may
Friday.
not have caught it the first time.
Also on Friday. Don't
Oh
forget
my
the one on
gosh.
Friday.
Blew me a lot of disgrace.
So
You
this
did
is-
say that this was the void of course month.
And if within the void of course month, this is the void of course week. So, if there's a way for a getaway, take a few days off, take a week off, where things are not pressing for you, take a week off and do all that work around your house.
Exactly. Well, you have to understand when we do these forecasts, Lonnie and I have been speaking as a team for over 30 years, right? And it's fantastic because when we're speaking, we actually listen to each other and we watch each other so we know where we're going to leap off from, and we can tell they're starting to run a little bit. One or the other's running out of steam, the other one steps up. It's a little different when we do the forecast because when she's talking, I'm looking at the next lines, so I may not listen to her.
Right.
So it's not that I'm just a typical husband who doesn't listen to his wife. It's that I actually am doing something else.
Thank you.
See, just want to get.
Thank you for that.
I want to get a free card, out of jail free card for that one.
Well, finally, the light at the end of the tunnel is Sunday the 24th,
Yes.
where we finally have the only white circle of the whole
Yes.
month. And we've got Jupiter in a sextile with the moon in Virgo moon.
Yeah.
Also a family sign,
Yes.
relating to
Yes.
your personal group, kind of a
Yes.
sign appropriate for a Sunday.
Putting
We
things
have
in
the
order.
Sun sextile Neptune, so inspiration and, dedication to the home and family and sort of recharging that day, I think is a really good idea. It may not be a launch day for something. Number one, it's a Sunday, although now launches come at different times. But there is that square to Mercury. So
Exactly. Yes. So a little bit of.
we had to give him a white circle.
It's true, but it realized that this square to Mercury is Mercury in Gemini. It's the two mutable signs, and they're the two
Rulerships.
social signs of Mercury. So squares between Mercury and squares between Jupiter tend to function better because they kind of like squares, because the four signs of Jupiter that connect most to Jupiter and to Mercury are all squares to each other. Mercury and Jupiter are really about doing things, getting things done, and so they like the squares because if you're going to build a house, you need a lot of blocks. And then we have Memorial Day with that sun trine moon.
It's very nice to have that sun trine moon there. Watch out for that Mars square Pluto. So don't do anything foolhardy. You could be one of those leap before you look kind of days. But other than that, it looks to be a pleasant enough day. Although you might get a lot of news about what's going on in the outside world.
Yeah, and then later in the week, you have another void, of course, on the Wednesday. Long void, of course, it runs from 4:32 in the morning to 5:52 p.m. So it's pretty much the entire workday. And then, then you have it finally goes into Scorpio, aka the Eagle, at 5:52 p.m. But so it's in Libra during the day, in the middle of the week. So it really is
Unavoided course.
Unavoided course. So it is a bit of a balancing act. So I wouldn't plan to get a lot done that day.
And certainly don't try to make any decisions.
Yeah. And the moon during the day is going to be square. Or the last, let's see. I guess it's going to be the first. Let's see. Oh, the Jupiter square, the last aspect the moon makes before it goes void, of course, is actually going to be the Jupiter square, the moon, because the Jupiter's still in the sign of the crab, and so it's been square Libra. So whenever you go into these voids, of course, look to see, even when it's not void, of course, look to see who did the moon like the last aspect to, because that was the last person it talked to. So it's carrying that message with it. So keep it in mind.
I don't have the chart right in front of me, so I just am trusting in what he's calculating, because within the first week of our meeting, we were having a conversation while he was driving somewhere, and he was calculating midpoints between our two charts in his head while he was on an errand for his father's business. So I don't know.
Yes.
He has that spatial understanding. He's a spacey boy.
It's a helpful thing to have as an astrologer.
It really is. It really is.
Then the later part of the week is a lot of lunar aspects. There's a parallel between the Sun and Jupiter on the 29th, which is actually kind of interesting because there's also a trine between the Moon and Jupiter on that day. So a lot of energy gets unified on that Sunday. Usually parallels only matter a lot if there's another aspect going on at the same time.
And I think it's ridiculous that if you go all the way ahead to the top of the grid for May, you see the full moon on the 31st.
Yes.
And if you scroll over, you see the first full moon that was on the 1st.
Yes.
So it seems like there's two full moons right next to each other, but they're not. They're a month apart. And that's your blue moon.
That full moon is a little bit troublesome. And the reason is it's happening, it's really almost the only aspect other than the trine between Saturn and the moon during the day, because that 9 degrees of Sagittarius is the position of Antares, which means like Mars. It's a red giant, and it tends to be loud. So something's going to be going on in the news at that time. I don't know what the whole issue that's going on with Iran right now, but something's going to be going on where people in positions of power get overheated. Okay, so do watch out for that, please. So
and that void, of course,
yes,
is a long one.
Yeah, and then the next day on the June 1st, Mercury enters the sign of the Crab. So you can see Mercury is moving really quickly. So communication is very active. You know,
And that void, of course, is going to be a full until 6 p.m. The next day.
Yeah. Yes.
So.
Yeah,
it's 2 full days of void, of course.
Which means the moon doesn't have a lot of leverage.
Right.
You know, events will take place kind of separate from the moon. And as I said, you know, the last aspect that the moon is making is that trine to Saturn. So the message it's carrying is that Saturnian message.
And that those emotions have nowhere to go.
Yeah, and that Saturn is in Aries, the martial sign, at the same time when the sun, this new moon is taking place at the star which they called like Mars. So if you ever meet a person who's born with their sun conjunct Antares, they're big and they're noisy.
Well, bigger than life, kind of thing.
Yeah, but they're also noisy. They're very loud. They're just loud. You know, it's kind of interesting. Whenever a planet's passed over there, we always kind of notice that one. So that's pretty much the rest of May. Actually, we're going to be doing the forecast for June pretty soon, but we have to recover from this one first.
Exactly. So our voices, our coughing, everything allowed us to get this little shortened forecast. But thank you for hanging in there and subscribe on YouTube so that when we post this and we post the upcoming forecasts and other things that we're posting now, we have all these ideas. All we need is our voice back.
Yeah, and by next time, we should have the pocket and day planner both available. They'll be available on Amazon.
Pre-orders for 2027 will be starting soon. Yeah. Make sure we have your email address or that you're subscribed to our newsletter, and we'll get you hooked up for 2027.
So until next month, be well.